All right, today we're diving into something you almost never get to see. A super detailed, candid guide for rushing a pretty discreet fraternity at the University of Virginia. We're going to pull back the curtain and really deconstruct this blueprint for brotherhood to see what it actually takes to get in. Let's get into it.
I mean, this is the big question for anyone going through Rush, right? What are they actually looking for? Well, this guide, it makes all those unwritten rules totally explicit. It's a playbook, laying out everything from the chapter's core identity to the exact words you should be using in your pitch.
Okay, so first up, we have to understand the identity. The guide frames the entire culture of this chapter, located at 163 Rugby Road, as one built on a single idea: composure over chaos. And believe me, that idea shapes everything else we're about to see.
So to get this chapter, you got to get the environment it's in. This Sigma Phi chapter at UVA was founded way back in 1954, and it exists in a Greek system where the university itself really values and enforces discretion. This isn't the Wild West. It's an ecosystem that rewards careful reputation management, and this chapter is basically built to thrive in that exact world.
This quote from the guide just nails the value proposition. It's basically saying, look, if you want a non-stop, rager every night kind of place, this isn't it. What you're trading that for is something else: a polished image, a discrete network, and a real active connection with alumni who are actually invested.
So how do you measure something as fuzzy as brotherhood or networking? Well, this guide actually tries to quantify it. It creates a scorecard to give potential members a brutally honest look at what they're really signing up for. First, the Alumni Value Score. It comes in at a 68 out of 100. Now, the guide is really quick to say this isn't just some generic LinkedIn network. No, it's a highly curated one, especially strong if you're going into fields like law, finance, or consulting. In those worlds, a quiet, trusted intro from the right person can literally make or break a career opportunity. That's the specific value they're talking about here.
Then there's the stereotypical frat lifestyle score, which is a pretty modest 58 out of 100. And the guide is super direct about this. It says if you want a foam cannon factory, you should look somewhere else. This score reflects a deliberate choice, a culture built around tidy, structured events like formals and game day weekends, not unpredictable blowouts. The promise is that you can have a great social life, but one where your GPA and your reputation will probably survive intact.
Okay, from value, the guide moves to the very definition of brotherhood itself. And this is where it gets truly fascinating. It creates a literal scale to codify and define the different levels of intimacy between the members.
It's called the homoerotic level scale. Now, the guide uses this term less about sexuality and more as an analytical tool. It's trying to measure a whole spectrum of physical and emotional comfort between guys in the house, from being just transactional roommates all the way to being romantic partners.
So you can see this clear progression on the scale. It starts at level 1, which is basically business-like co-living. By level 4, you're in the bromance tier. You know, gym partners, cooking together, real emotional support. Level 5 is where physical comfort gets normalized, like just chatting in towels after a shower. And from there, it goes up to major boundary shifts at level 7 and ultimately full-on relationships at level 10.
So where does this chapter actually land on that scale? Well, the guide places it squarely at a level 5. Not a 4, not a 6. It's a very specific cultural temperature they're aiming for.
So what does level 5 actually look like in practice? The guide calls it a state of adult comfort, not performance. Think about that. It's casual, non-performative closeness, guys talking in the hallway in towels, fixing each other's ties before a formal, or just putting an arm around a shoulder on a big day. It's all about being comfortable in shared spaces without it being a big deal.
Okay, so now that we get the culture, the guide switches gears to the practical stuff. How do you actually get in? This is the candidate's playbook, a step-by-step guide to nailing the rush process. It all kicks off with the persona you project, and the instructions are incredibly specific. The look is smart casual Ivy. Think press shorts, no loud logos. The conduct is classic professionalism, firm handshake, eye contact, and for heaven's sake, put your phone away. And the #1 rule is that discretion is your most valuable asset. Bragging about parties or hookups, that's a fatal mistake here. And get this, the guide even provides a fill-in-the-blank template for your 30-second elevator pitch. The structure is so intentional. It forces you to be concise, to show you align with their values like scholarship and composure, and most importantly, to say exactly how you plan to contribute from day one. And here's a perfect example.
Alex doesn't just say he'll help out. No, he commits to a specific job. I'll own alumni outreach and a mentor night each term. This shows a contribution mindset, which the guide makes clear is exactly what they are looking for.
The guide also preps candidates for the interview by giving them the questions ahead of time. For example, you're very likely to be asked, what does discretion mean here? And that question, it gets right to the heart of their entire culture. And here's the model answer. It's all about protecting reputations, managing risks, and understanding that private moments are not for Instagram. But that last part is the key. Trust is the brand. That says it all.
So, after all of this, the scores, the scales, the playbook, the guide delivers its final verdict. It makes it crystal clear who this fraternity is for, and, just as importantly, who it is not for.
The guide just lays out the trade-offs in this simple pro-con list. The pros? You're joining a recognized heritage chapter with real alumni connections and a low-drama culture. The cons are just the flip side of that coin. It's not a huge party house, it can feel a little insular, and yeah, it requires self-discipline. They're incredibly upfront about the whole package.
And just to hammer the point home, the guide lists the absolute deal breakers. These are the red flags that show you just don't get it. Bragging about partying, bad-mouthing other frats, or treating the whole process like a transaction, any of that will get your application tossed immediately.
This final quote from the guide really captures the entire philosophy. It's about choosing composure over chaos, heritage over hype. It defines their brotherhood not by how loud it is, but by its reliability, discretion, and results. It's a blueprint for building a very specific kind of network, which really makes you wonder, in a world of constant noise and self-promotion, is this kind of curated, discreet brotherhood the ultimate competitive advantage?